What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. If you're watching this, this is kind of a pre-stream because I have started anew in inviting people over to have a conversation online. And someone accepted that, but I want to do a little bit of research that I do it online with you, you fun folks. Hope everybody's doing well today. Let me know. Don't see anyone commenting. I kind of messed up, so I don't know if this is going out to anybody, so it should be interesting if nobody gets it. Be far more relaxed between me and my boy. It should be public, though. Let me know if you do see it and it is public. So, effectively, what's going on, Awesome Sean? Effectively, what's going to be interesting is the conversation on if Badgie was too far, too violent, and what's going on with that. Now, someone put on there, Trek Ace went on and I forget exactly what he said, but I did a retweet showing where holograms and violence had been used before, and apparently it's not the same. Apparently it is not consistent or something like that. So I would love your guys' help in having examples of horror in Legacy Trek, as well as holograms that have gone like drastically evil. I know I think Voyager's really the only one that does that. But if you guys have any thoughts or any examples, definitely let me know. It was a parody of the old Windows word Clippy that showed up to help use. Yes, it was. I am aware. Yes, agreed. It was definitively that. Let's see. So we got Revulsion. And Revulsion, my boy, I think he reaches in and tries to stop someone's heart, doesn't he? What is Revulsion? Let's see. Let's go find out together, shall we? Season 4, episode 5. Remmick's head was far more graphic. Oh, agreed. Nitpicking. Completely agreed, good sir. Now, what's interesting is the person, and they'll be on next week, maybe? I don't know. All of a sudden, we can't make today, but even though it was planned, but they should be on, in theory, next week. And I'll be interested to see where they go with it. Oh my God, that is so loud. Why does Netflix have to do that? That is more annoying than anything on God's green earth. All right. I'm glad I didn't miss the disco. Oh, yeah. Well, one's disco, the other's not. I thought Badgie was kind of fracked up. You didn't have to use Clippy. They had others that were less annoying. Nah, Clippy had to be used. Clippy had to be used. Had to be. No other way. Literally impossible. Let me see here. Alright. If you guys know exactly where it is, let me know. But I do know, I really feel like he reaches in and grabs somebody's heart. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But let's take a look. And if you guys disagree, if you think Badgie's wrong, hey, let's have a conversation together, shall we? Shan't we? Let's see. There it is. There's my boy. Look at him. My sweet prince didn't do nothing. Didn't do nothing, that one. Alright. So we got him. Who else? Yeah, he does grab B'Elanna's heart. What's up, fellow Lore Fleet members? Clippy was the only one and was the true first rogue hologram. That's true. That's science. Who was the other one? There was an entire group of them. What episode was that? Like you had a Bajoran. Remember, they were programmed by the Hirogen. Let's see. Group of holograms programmed by Hirogen. Flesh and blood. See, this is going to be so interesting to me. I just don't understand it. Like, And this is a part of the issue, or the problem, is that if you're going to sit there and complain about things and nitpicking nerd, I mean, dude, you're the one that I'd be interested to see respond to this, because I mean, this is basically the crux of our disagreement. If you're gonna, you cannot sit there and necessarily complain about any individual thing, especially in Lower Decks, compared to Legacy Trek. It just, I mean, I do think that there is a common ground would be Discovery and Picard, because I do think you can go too far, but I don't see anything that is inconsistent with what has happened in Legacy Trek. There, when it comes to Lower Decks, it makes no sense to me. Because I think you can say, I think it is, you can say, look, the eye thing with Seven of Nine's protege, who was like a son to her, I forget his name, that is barely consistent. That I don't even think that holds a flame to anything we've seen in Legacy Trek. And the gratuitous sex and the gratuitous violence in Discovery takes it to 11. And so you can say, hey, that may be too much. It may go too far. I think there could be an argument for that. But Lower Decks, I mean, come on. Come on. Lower Decks is a parody and a cartoon, so it can do whatever they want as long as it's funny. See, that I don't necessarily disagree. I don't necessarily agree with that, and I think that Lower Decks needs to watch it because they may be going a little bit too far. They say they're canon now because they're a cartoon. I think that maybe they can get away with a few more things than they generally can, but you can't get away with everything. You have to at least have some semblance of consistency within the rest of the series, franchise. Sorry, I'm looking for our big beautiful flesh and blood people. Our wondrous band of misfits. Oh, you know, something interesting, too. So I think it was Ketwalski. It was either Ketwalski or Jesse who was getting a little bit upset. Not upset, but thought they were going a little bit too far with the captain, the female captain, not fighting back in the latest episode of Lower Decks. What's hilarious with that, what I think is beyond funny, is that I was watching The Wounded. And literally, it was like watching a 1-for-1 in a lot of ways, because the Cardassian ship was firing on the Enterprise D and just doing nothing, man. The only reason they even did the slightest bit of damage was because they attacked with the shields down, and even then it was minor. And so the Enterprise just starts trying to avoid getting hit. And ultimately, it just becomes annoying and starts to get to a point where it could actually cause an issue. And at that point, he's like, all right, we have to stop this. This is unreasonable. It's funny because I think they nailed it when it comes to that. Though I would agree, it's possible it goes, they're simply not... They need to expand a little bit beyond that. Who's the debate with? Look, the biggest problem with Lower Decks I have is the main character dude is getting essed on too much. The latest episode was refreshing that he wasn't the one getting all the crap. See, well, if you've seen, I'm going to take it that you've seen all 5 episodes. I think that you are kind of looking for things that aren't there. Sometimes, because he gets guff in the same way that I would say the navigator in Orville, I forget his name, gets guff. Not navigator, I'm sorry, the pilot, the white guy. So if you're saying the white guy gets the pilot gets a lot of guff, he gets hell brought on him. Well, maybe, but I would say that he's much more nuanced. And the interesting thing here, and I'm not saying this is UC Wall necessarily, the interesting thing that I noticed is that maybe it's because they just feel so attacked with Discovery and Picard. I think that Lower Decks is too nuanced for some of its critics. I really do. They just cannot pick up on the small little details that actually make the show interesting. The little girl with an imaginary friend in Next Gen was a horror. I could be, but the episode with the GF rubbed me the wrong way with how much he lost. Maybe. I think that one made Mariner look crazy bad. I think that one made Mariner show that she's not a Mary Sue. She's not. Let's see. What was that? TNG girl with imaginary friend? That sounds so familiar. It's the one called Imaginary Friend. Let me see. Clara, young girl, just moved to Enterprise with her counselor Troy. But is her imaginary friend a hologram, or was her imaginary friend an alien? I remember that one being pretty horror, though. Mariner is my favorite. I think, if you watch the first episode with Mariner, I can see you getting the wrong impression of her, but I think she's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's fine, Christopher. I was just asking. It's no big deal. By the way, nitpicking, it seems you might be a little bit behind on the stream, so you can, if you refresh, you should be able to catch up. Odd looking back at how many episodes are atheist meets God as their premise. Well, I think that's why a lot of people are atheists. I think that the explanation is for people being atheist is there's so many people, so many entities they come in contact with that pretend to be God. I mean, if you meet so many people that pretend to be God and none of them are, or they have flaws, or they don't match what you think God is supposed to be, then it becomes pretty easy, you know? Yeah, let me see. I'm trying to see. This happened on the 13th. What is it, 15th? Okay. Looking at the conversations back and forth. Apparently, my boy doesn't have a YouTube channel. I'll be giving out his Twitter then, which is what he says to be known by. What I liked about Lower Decks is that it didn't violate canon. I would even happily consider a replacement for Discovery in my eyes. Interestingly, it does, in my opinion, somewhat violate canon, I think. Because let's take a look at and obviously this is going to have spoilers, so if you care about spoilers in Lower Decks, maybe not the best. They had the panda, right? The smiling panda. And they kind of make it seem like that's the actual end, like there's some kind of panda at the end of the one. Now, you could argue that when he was ascending, that wasn't actually... His perceptions may not actually be what's there, and it may not... It may not be what we think it is. So, I mean, you can write it off in that way, but I think that it goes a little bit far. But like you said, when it comes to it being a cartoon or a parody, it gets away with it. Because, I mean, imagine if they did that in Discovery or Picard or DS9 or TNG. Oh, man, people would be so angry. Even I would, I think. would be so angry about that. Mariner is a lethal weapon crazy. I mean the movie, not the TV show. Well, there you go. I think it's sad that Mariner is a better written character than most of the characters on Discovery and Picard. I think she's a more fleshed out character. I think she's a fleshed out character with flaws, with goals, with aspirations. Everybody, we can finally start. Sydney has arrived, so that's always a net positive. I'm excited about that. There was an episode of Voyager where a female hologram was attacking Janeway with a knife. Do you remember the name of it? Let's see. Hologram. Female hologram attacks Janeway. Star Trek. Nothing instantly pulls up for that. I feel like I've seen that. Was it in one of her like period pieces? Maybe. Like where she was not offhand. It happened in sickbed and Kess could see it. Huh. It was a koala, says Maisie. Koalas and pandas are the same thing. The instructor of the children. I'll take a look. But was that another alien? Again, it has to be a hologram. It can't be because the question, what we're going to be having the conversation about, is Badgie, who is a hologram. So it has to be specifically a hologram. Now, it's fine if you were just pointing that out. It comes from a koala hologram, but it was an alien causing the illusion. But a hologram that goes crazy. Badgie does play bass. He does. Yeah, you guys missed it. If you don't follow me on twitter.com/lore reloaded, you miss all the fun. Because now I'm gonna point this out. I'm gonna say this straight up. Be completely honest with you guys. On Twitter, I don't hold myself back. I give my opinions. I don't like I don't like a lot of people on the left or right. I'm pretty nuanced. And so that means most people, politicians and stuff, anger me. So I talk a lot of stuff about both sides. And I've given up on trying to be neutral on Twitter. And so I just have fun with it. I just don't care. And so about 2 days ago, oh my God, were they so mad. I got this stalker who just loves attacking me. They attacked my kids, my sister. It was a fun-filled adventure. In fact, the guy that I invited this one chap on, he should be on next week, who required me. So I said, hey, and this is when Badgie started. It said, hey, let's talk about it online. Because that's my counter now. With Fandom Menace, if you want to talk crap, hey, it's really easy to type on Twitter and comments. Why don't you come on and talk to me to my face? Why don't we do that? And I'll give you respect if you do that. And he said, well, I want another person here. And my counter was, why do you want the other person? And it became, well, why don't you want him on? It was so silly. But unfortunately, he couldn't come. He'll be next week. And Homeboy should be on about 6 or 7 minutes. I remember a crazy one, Revulsion. Yeah, I've already got Revulsion. I think I'm still banned from Twitter for telling Jack he needed a haircut. Well, that's unfortunate. I like to think Mike Mahan secretly created Lower Decks as a deconstruction of Discovery. I mean, you could see a lot of characters in that, couldn't you? I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I remember the episodes with Moriarty from TNG are almost less comedic, more psychological horror. I don't think... Was the Moriarty really all that horror, though? There's no reason that the holodeck couldn't use a cell shader so cartoony characters could make sense. What doesn't make sense about Badgie? Walk me through that one. Why does Badgie not make sense? So here's my thing on that when talking about Discovery. Francesco. Can we talk about how Badgie literally just ripped a person's head off? The graphic detail in this show. Yeah, Francesco, that's the conversation we're going to be having, because the Legacy Trek has stuff as bad, if not worse than that. So we'll have that discussion. That's not all that graphic, but I do believe Lower Decks is a return to form, and I do think that based on all of the other Disco era Trek, it is going to bring people back in. I wonder or worry if they're not going to go too cartoony, though, which is interesting. Anything that's smarter than Data is a bit scary. Well, I mean, that means the computer is smarter than Data too, though, remember, because the computer created Moriarty, and the computer cannot create something smarter than itself logically. So the computer is smarter than Data, and that is a scary as hell thing, given that it controls everything. Badgie died for our sins. I love how he says diplomatic immunity, and then they just like fucking break his like spine, I guess. Badgie has a spine. Did you recognize Badgie threatened to rip their eyes out? Is that a reference to Star Trek Picard? I did. Well, I mean, I remember he said that. I never thought of it as a callback, though. It could be. You're not wrong there. Huh. That's kind of an interesting piece. Huh. I don't know. Did Badgie do it, though? Is Badgie the worst? Why did that not... Hold on, guys. I need to do something real quick. Nope. Check out. Continue. Why does it make me do that 600 times? That's frustrating. Didn't Voyager have some anti-stuff in its gel matrix to stop computer becoming self-aware? I don't remember that at all. Badgie is better than all artificial beings? Probably. Badgie stays self-aware. Now, that's a scary piece of that. Badgie, even though they have... And first off, it makes no sense for the... There's some things in that make no sense. There's no sense for the safeguards to drop. Like the safeties to go down. The ship doesn't have enough power, so what does it do? It disables the safeties? Not the holodeck? Because, honestly, they're at red alert. Both of them need to be at action stations. So, shout to Jack McBrayer for voicing... Oh, yeah, I love that. The guy who plays the Christian most of the times. The guy who plays the good characters was Badgie. That is funny, in my opinion. All right, give me a second. Why am I doing it that way? I need to do this the smarter way, which is to do that. Save. Badgie is another thing of Clippy for sure. Badgie isn't woken. He isn't woke. He attacks everybody. He doesn't just go after the Caucasoid people. The holodeck takes a lot of power. I just assume the holodeck's just automatically turned off during a red alert to divert power to like shields or weapons. Yeah, you would think. Well, you know what they'll come back and say though. They'll come back with the Voyager excuse. The Voyager excuse. The holodeck takes different power than the ship does. The power sources are completely different. Makes no sense at all. None whatsoever. But let's assume that that's what it is. You still don't need anyone in the holodeck without Captain Override. As soon as it goes... Glad you like it, Dr. Space. My content loves you too. Once Red Alert goes, you should have a Captain Override that allows the holodeck to stay up. It should automatically shut down. Medallion will allow. Well, I'm glad Medallion. Yeah, I was really worried that you wouldn't be allowing it, and so I'm glad. I don't know what we're allowing. Zephram Caucasoid? I don't know what a Zephram Caucasoid is. You are going to have to break down and watch. I like Lower Decks. I would suggest anyone to watch it. All right. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? I'm ready for this. I'm ready. My body is ready. The holodeck is for intercourse and getting stabbed to death. I would completely agree with that. I sent him the invite. We'll see where that goes. In retrospect, I feel a little bit bad about this because this isn't the original guy. This was a person I actually muted. That's rare. He had to do something fun for that to happen. Either that or I was having a bad day. Hold on. Hey, it started you off muted, so you know. We're live while you're here. Can you hear me? Yeah, I don't have to hit that. Can you hear me? Maybe, maybe not. Already getting off to a good start. 1 second.
Hold on.
Oh, God. Ah.
Oh no, I hear you now.
Yeah,
Am I too loud?
You are like crazy loud. Give me a second. All right, still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
That was really weird. Huh. Okay. We're live, by the way, just to let you know.
Okay.
And let's see. Good. And to confirm, you don't have a YouTube that you want to give out. You just have a Twitter, and that Twitter, if anyone wants to go and hang out with you, is Way Too Much Beer at Way Too Much Beer, right?
Correct.
All right, and that is in the description as well. Here, let me give this to you too, just in case you want to see it, or I don't know, like talk about how you destroyed me. All right, so just let's level set here for just a second. Make sure that we're on the same page, because you actually came on. You were either invited or you were invited by the other guy, or you saw and asked if you could be on. Interestingly, the reason I didn't see your thing was because I muted you, which means I was either having a bad day or, in my opinion, you went out of your way to be annoying. Probably me having a bad day. But to level set, the entire argument is that well, the other guy was saying that Badgie went too far, that it had too much gore, and that's just not Legacy Trek. Or at least that was my specific counter. Is that where you're going with Badgie, or where do you stand with Badgie specifically?
Well, I mean, so Badgie feels like, to me, it's like a murderous version of the Clippy figure from the Microsoft Word. I don't know if you've ever, like back in the day, Microsoft Word had this Clippy, like little paperclip character, and it would pop up when you're trying to open Word, and it'd be say something like, it looks like you're trying to write a letter, whatnot. And that's kind of what it reminded me of when I first saw it. But the way they set it up, like there's something about this show, that it's kind of predictable in a lot of ways. Like you can kind of see like the formulas. Like as soon as they had Clippy come on and Tindy was talking about how cute he looked and stuff like that, I knew that they were going to go a different way with him. Like it wasn't just going to be like an annoying paperclip type of thing. And it turned out he seemed like more of like a psychotic version of Cowley or Mr. Hanky or something like that.
Mr. Hanky. The psychotic version of Mr. Hanky. I like that. I was just laughing.
So at first,
go ahead.
So at first I was like, so did Rutherford program Badgie to be that way? Like to have feelings, and then and then to be murderous if he hurt those feelings, and if he did, then why did you kick the horn? You know, why did you kick him?
Right.
So it was kind of a weird thing for me. For the murdering thing, I just thought it was kind of it was the direction I figured they were going to go. They were going to make him, you know, kill somebody or try to kill somebody. Um, so it just felt like predictable to me. Uh, Also a little ridiculous overall.
Okay, so what it sounds like, because here's the thing, and here's my entire point with Lower Decks. It sounds like you just don't like that it's necessarily comedic, because there's nothing with Badgie and you don't like that it's predictable, because there's nothing with Badgie that hasn't been done or done worse in Legacy Trek, even with holograms. There have been multiple holograms that are actually worse than Badgie. So, you know, the thing with Badgie being like murderous, I don't think Rutherford did that on purpose. I think that he just he knew that it wasn't ready. He's not a holo programmer. He's just trying to put this together, and he created something that can be murderous, which is a problem. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he necessarily did it on purpose, and I don't think he realized, because he even says, "I showed it when I wasn't ready,"
Right.
and that because I wanted to impress you or whatever. So,
Right.
I mean, we can again. You weren't the one that I necessarily originally interacted with, so we can talk about Lower Decks as a whole if you prefer, or if you want to hang your hat on Badgie. I just don't think that's a winning proposition, because Badgie in and of itself
Well,
is not bad.
that Badgie is like just one thing about Lower Decks that's bad. I mean, it's like one of the things that I think that they believe is that chaos. They believe that chaos is comedy, and in some cases, yeah, you can do it right if you make it work. But it seems like they're doing it just for the sake of doing it, and not because it helps the story in any way. But I mean, yeah. So part of my issue with Lower Decks. Let me go a little before that. Um, you know, let's go all the way back to Discovery real quick.
Okay.
When they first announced that they were making Discovery, I was actually very excited to hear about that. You know, they were making new Trek, and it was supposed to be in the prime timeline of, you know, 10 years before Kirk. You know, I didn't see any of the previews or anything. I just wanted to, you know, I just wanted to watch it once it came out. And once it came out, I had a lot of questions.
Okay.
About you know, all of that stuff. And then when they came out with the Picard trailer, the first one where they introduced Seven and Data, I was really hoping that it was going to be good once again, because Captain Picard is my overall favorite character in Star Trek. So I was hoping that, and you know, like his acting is great, but it seemed like a lot of times the dialogue got into its own way, and so I ended up being disappointed about that too. So, you know, going into Lower Decks, I went into it with assuming a pattern of suck, because just because of that, you know, the other two shows. This one surprised me a little bit, because there's aspects of the show that I actually do like, and I actually think that they're going a better direction with this show. Maybe if they had taken it more seriously instead of turning it into a comedy, it might actually be really, you know, I do think it's better than Discovery and Picard, though. So one of my issues with the show is that I feel like they have a problem trying to figure out like how to make things funny. Like when they do it, like it reminds me of a Rick and Morty comedy, but you know, like I don't know, like it's like part of it, like some of the things that they think is funny is like when they reward incompetence, like they promoted Mariner as a punishment. Um, Meanwhile, Boimler, who's been, trying to be this model Starfleet officer, just kind of left in the dust there. Um, Also, like, as I said before, they treat chaos as comedy, and they also, like with the references, it's fine. The references are fine, except that every so, like, a lot of times it seems like they're using them as comedic punchlines. A lot of times, like at the end when they were saying like the best, the best Starfleet officer ever was Chief O'Brien, and that was supposed to be a comedic punchline. Um, I didn't really find, but I thought it was nice that they mentioned O'Brien, but you know, yeah, I think it's like I do think it sucks, but I think it sucks for different reasons than Picard and Discovery suck.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
It does. I mean, we can talk about. I'm just trying to better understand what you're. If you don't like it because it's comedic and you don't think that's the way Star Trek should go, then that's saying one piece, I guess. And I'm looking at your Twitter feed right now because I'm trying to get a better sense of your issues overall. Now,
Okay.
I'm hyperbolic too. I'm hyperbolic on Twitter too. That's Twitter. That's what Twitter does.
I do that too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because when I'm looking at this, you're like, "What the f is this stuff?" When he's ripping heads off, but we both agree that it's there's been as much or worse when it comes to Trek previously.
Yeah, but it wasn't so, I don't know, like the way they did it before, it wasn't so gruesome. I mean, it wasn't so like one of the things I did like that Picard did, they did in the Picard show was in the when they first met the what's the Romulan's name with the sword? When they first meet him and he pledges himself to Picard, he cuts off that Romulan's head, that Romulan senator's head, just decapitates him. And when they beam down to the ship, Picard berates him, saying that guy didn't need to die. That's kind of what I remember Star Trek being more about, that type of stuff. And in a newer Trek, it seems like most of the time they let those deaths go without really caring. Yeah.
But here's the point, I guess, and maybe this is kind of where we come from a different, because I study Star Trek for a living, even though some of your friends don't think I do. There was, and I don't know if you remember seeing this or you've ever seen it, but there's a Voyager episode where a Vidian, literally, you got B'Elanna and she has a friend, and a Vidian literally cuts her friend's face off and wears it and talks to her and wants to be her friend through that face. And then you have the episode everybody goes to, which is the commander getting his face blown off or whatever.
Right.
I guess my point is that Badgie is so tame. That is, especially since it's a cartoon.
I would say this.
It's so tame.
I would say this. Those two episodes weren't the best Trek episodes either. And sometimes I feel like they're taking the worst aspects of the older Trek and expanding on those rather than the best. Okay,
but you can't say it's not Trek. I mean, I don't know necessarily. I feel like I've seen it, but maybe not. Would you agree with others that this is not Star Trek? Because these are things that happen in Star Trek. I will agree. Well, like one thing we have a common.
Well, I mean.
Well, let me finish real quick.
Okay.
One thing we have a common ground in is Discovery season 1 is like some of the worst writing, like bar none. But for Star Trek overall, I think that a lot of it's horrific. So we don't necessarily disagree when it comes to some of the stuff, like, and again, the eye thing in Picard or Discovery season 1 for sure. Oh my God, I had to do something with that today. It was just horrible. So it's just Lower Decks, even if it's the worst aspects of it, and I'll agree, sometimes they take the worst aspects. Can you really say it's not Trek?
Well, I mean, it's Star Trek in that. I mean, it's from CBS. It's labeled Star Trek. It's got all the copyrights and stuff like that. It's technically Trek, and I don't mind saying that. Like, I just wish maybe if like, let's say they take Discovery and they said, okay, this is a alternate timeline, kind of like the Kelvin timeline, but just a different one. I accepted the Kelvin timeline because they admitted it was a different timeline and it didn't mess with the original timeline. So I was fine with that. If they would have done the same thing for this one, I think I would have been able to really, put that out of my head, put all the canon and stuff out of my head, aesthetics and whatnot, and then enjoy it for what it is. That's kind of what I think about that, because if they had done that and then with maybe done the same thing with Picard, it would have been easier for me to enjoy. But Lower Decks, it's much harder for me to believe that it's within the same timeline as the original, because they do things like at that one time with the guy who went through the Ascension. He declares that the universe is carried on his back by a giant koala, and they show like this big smiling koala or whatnot.
Yeah,
like I can't take that seriously enough to.
Yeah, we were talking about that before, and so there's an explanation. I first off, I agree that I think they're leaning too far into the cartoonishness and to call it canon. I agree with that. I hopefully they won't. I think that for me, they're just on the edge of it, and I hope they don't go too much further into it. But I will. Technically, you could try to explain it away. You could say that's what he's perceiving, and that it could be it could be an alien messing with him. That's definitely not what they were intending. They intended that to be what it is. But in theory, go ahead.
And when he went through the Ascension, like, he was in agony. He was screaming in pain.
Yeah.
And I remember the episode where the original track episode where the guy goes through the Ascension. He lights up. He gasps a little bit, like as if he's feeling something. And then he starts glowing, and then after that he's in no pain. So, once again, I feel like they believe that chaos is comedy instead of just having him go through the Ascension and say whatever. They made him scream in pain and agony.
Okay. So you don't want it to be a comedy, is what it sounds like. You want them to take it a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they have the stuff that they have right. All right, for that time for that era of Trek, the aesthetics are fine. They got the L cards that look like L cards. The holodeck looks like the holodeck. The theme music, I like the theme music. I think it's pretty uplifting and optimistic. A couple of the characters I do like. I like the Katian, the cat lady, the doctor.
Right.
I don't remember the name though. I like Rutherford. I think he's like a good Star Trek character. He's very happy-go-lucky. He likes to work. He's not afraid to try new things. He obviously has a crush on Tendi that he doesn't want to tell her or whatever. But so he seems like a pretty well-rounded character. So yeah, there's stuff that I think has a lot of potential to be a good, but I think what happened, when they made it, when they did the other Trek, they made them kind of dark, kind of dystopic and everything, and I feel like in this one they went the complete opposite way, and they made it more ridiculous,
okay,
a little more comedic, and I would love to see like a middle ground of some sort where there's light moments, but then there's really serious, dramatic moments. There's tension, and it's balanced with a little bit of comedy of somewhat.
Okay, I'm I'm not going to push you too far on this because, again, I do the same thing. But when you're, the only other thing I'd ask is, so, like, for instance, you talk about Boimler glowing, and you say he turns into a Force ghost. They've forgotten the franchise, and then you call the others Antifa. Okay, that's what I figured. I figured you're messing with them, but dude, you know how the internet works. Everybody's going to be watching this, go to your Twitter, and then think that's what you actually believe. So I wanted to get that out there. So I guess let's look at Picard real quick. Because again, Picard is is more serious, but interestingly, we're going to have a lot more common ground there, so it may not be as big of a conversation. I mean, when it comes to Picard, and a lot of the people you interact with would say that Picard is a complete failure, and that it doesn't follow Star Trek itself. I guess my problem is, and again, this could be the fact that I've done so much research. There's nothing in Picard that technically isn't in Legacy Trek. They just do it worse or they make it darker, right? And you've kind of said that. 1 second. What's up, baby?
Can I
Yeah,
go on the computer?
I mean, yeah,
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Can I go on the computer?
Yeah, it's fine.
Also, these lights are too bright.
Oh, I'm sorry. Love you.
My eyes, they're burning!
Sorry, my kids. But yeah, what I guess what I'm better trying to understand is like I was saying, it's Trek. It just seems like Trek done badly to me. But a lot of people would say it's not Trek. So I mean, where do you fall on that?
Well, I mean, once again, like I wish the writing was better. I wish dialogue worked for a lot of it. It felt like like one of the things I enjoyed about older Trek is that it made me smarter. I would listen to the dialogue and I would be like, what are they talking about, or what does that word mean, or whatnot. And I would look up these words, and then over time I'd watch them again and again, and I begin to understand them a lot better. I felt like Star Trek used to be written for like intelligent people. Okay. So this one, it felt like they were trying to write for the same type of intelligent characters, but the writers aren't. I don't want to say they're unintelligent. They don't. Sometimes they sound pretentious. It sounds pretentious when they try to sound smart.
Right.
In the dialogue, and so like when you write about something that you don't really know what you're writing about, you either sound like you don't know what you're talking about, or you sound really pretentious about what you're talking about. And I think it's either one or the other when it comes to Picard. I think the Maddox plot was wasted. I think they could have done a lot more with Maddox rather than just kill him off right after, and then everybody forgives, the girl who kills him in the end.
Right.
Which I thought was, I don't know, I didn't really like that.
Oh no, she deserves to be in prison. She committed murder. There is no redemption for her.
Exactly. I wish that if they went this far as to kill Picard, they should have kept him dead instead of putting him in a golem or whatnot, keeping him alive for another season.
You cut out there just at the end, and my daughter asked me a question. Sorry, my daughter asked a question, and you cut off at the end. What was the last thing you said?
Yes, I wish that they didn't, if they're going to go as far as to kill off Picard or give him the death scene, they should have left him dead instead of putting him in a golem outfit. It felt like they were trying to have her cake and eat it too. Give Picard the death a death scene, but then don't kill him. I thought that ending was bad. Like I wish maybe instead of having another version of Data, that maybe they would have had him meet with Q, and Q congratulates him on finally passing his test or whatever. That would have been a little more appropriate, I think. But I mean, a lot of that is kind of just my preference. Yeah, I wish they, spent, I wish they spent more. I wish they did more with the board cube than what they did. The uh, the Romulan brother and sister thing. I don't know. Like it felt like they could have cut a lot of that out, and it would have been just as good. You wouldn't have lost any of the plot and whatnot. I feel like a lot of that could have been cut out. I felt like it was a waste. It was a good set, but the scene, I don't know, especially when they start slipping and sliding that one board corridor. I thought that was
Right.
yeah, there's a lot. I did like the fact that they did reference older Trek. They did reference certain episodes. The references to Mechanical Heart and stuff like that. I did like that, but there was also a lot of stuff that they, for some reason, chose not to acknowledge. They talked a lot about, quote unquote, Data's daughters, but there was no mention of Lal,
Right.
who was Data's daughter from the Next Generation, and they also mentioned, his brother in two occasions. They mentioned before, and they showed him in the drawer, and then they show the Soon character, the new Soon character they introduced. So and Data refers to to them as his brothers, but they don't mention Lord, who's also his brother.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that they don't mention that I felt like maybe there was a legal reason or some sort, but there was really no reason why there really should have been a reason why it wasn't included, other than the fact that I guess they had the priorities messed up.
Sure. Yeah, they had all. I wouldn't believe that they didn't have the rights to it. That wouldn't make any sense. I think,
Right.
and I think it's just, and it is a lot more insulting. They just decided not to go that route. And not bring it up because there's other things that are more important, like a scene of her
Like Spot.
Yeah,
They had to talk about Spot.
or her building that that beacon for like 20 minutes of a episode for no reason. So yeah, they had options to cut stuff and then add stuff like that. I agree. So all right, man. I mean, just based on it, it sounds like you don't like the comedy aspect. You want to be a little more serious. And then we basically similarly agree when it comes to just the poor writing or the lack of even caring about what happened in the past.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
So
and Lower Deck seems to do a better job with that aspect of the writing than Picard or Discovery does.
right. Okay. Well, maybe Strange New Worlds changes it all. Maybe it makes it all better. You never know. Hopefully.
Maybe. Except I really hope that if they do that show, they actually go back to more of a classic look, if that's what they want to go for, if they want to stay in that era.
Oh no, they're gonna do Kelvin Universe all the way.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
But I mean, are you gonna let that completely defeat it, or can you just let that go?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on.
Let's just assume.
How they write
for
it.
fun. Yeah, let's just assume, just for fun, that they write it exactly how you want it. It goes back to what you remember from nostalgia or legacy track, but it's set in the aesthetic of the Kelvinverse. Can you let that go? There's no right answer. I'm just curious.
I probably couldn't accept the lens flares. I probably could accept the lens flares. Like those, they overdo those lens flares.
Right. Well, I mean, Toss wasn't much better, but yeah, they take advantage of that way too much. All right, brother. Well, I mean, again, I want to thanks for coming on. I mean, here's why I started doing this, and of course, it's all amped up on Twitter and stuff like that. But
Right.
I get people. I want people. I'm done like having these arguments necessarily on comments and Twitter, just without any consequence. So I have an open invitation now, and I think it does take quite a bit to come on and to verbalize what you want, especially when there's people there, and the internet is what it is. So I appreciate you come on. And are you sure Twitter's the only place? You don't have a YouTube channel that you want anybody to know about?
Well, my YouTube channel, it's like from like family and just friends and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, other than that, just my Twitter.
All right, yeah, I'll share it in the comments and in the description. Thanks so much, man. You want to say anything else to people before I let you go?
No, I think I've said everything I needed to say. I'm glad this was very civil.
Oh yeah.
I like having civil conversations with people when it comes to Star Trek. Sometimes that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Now I tell you, I'm gonna be pretty laid back, though. I may, once we get the other person on, and I'm not sure how he wants to be introduced yet. I don't know if it's just by his Twitter or his YouTube channel, so that's why I haven't been using any necessarily names or anything. I may have a little fun with that because he got a bit insulting. But next, if you're here next week with him, it'll be generally the same. I may be a little more fun, but generally the same. So, all right, brother, thanks for coming by, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too. Thanks.
All right, see ya.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, so that was a thing. I'll probably be leaving soon because the kids have a couple of things they need me to help them with. Not mission, not priority, not mission critical, or I'd be leaving right now. But anyway, yeah. So that say what you will and what you disagree, but it was civil, and he gave his reasoning. It's interesting. It's fair to say that Twitter is definitely hype stuff up. So does YouTube comments. But it's interesting to see what someone puts on Twitter and what they what the actual conversation will be about. The other person I'll be interested to see what they want to do or where they want to go with it. If there's anybody you guys suggest or anybody specifically that just goes like balls to the wall anti-Trek, let them know they're more than welcome on this channel. To have that conversation. Now I want actual true believer, balls to the walls, true believers that can't, not somebody who's basically me or agrees with me, because I don't think there's a lot of value necessarily in that. Maybe Badgie will become a recurring hazard every time the holodeck breaks down. Maybe. Shives is welcome on, but I don't think he wants to come on, and I was okay with burning that bridge given the video that he did. Honestly, he's always welcome on. I'd be very polite, upbeat with him. We used to be friends. We used to be Facebook friends. I don't know if we're Facebook friends anymore. Let's see if we're Facebook friends now. Maybe not. We are. That's intriguing to me. I feel like he burnt that bridge. Now, look, here's the thing I'm going to tell you. I'm going to be completely upfront with you. Any of the major Fandom Menace channels aren't going to come on. There's absolutely no reason for them to. There's no benefit or value in it. And why do that when you can stay in an echo chamber? I like a couple of the Fandom Menace channels. I don't even necessarily mean that as a slight. It's just, there's absolutely no value in the larger channels coming on, but they're welcome at any point, and I'd be happy to go on theirs. It doesn't matter to me, and multiple people doesn't bother me at all. What video? Can I go burn a bridge with him? It was a video he did a long time ago about conservatives. A couple of months ago. He said people can stop following him if they're conservative. Hell, I'm not even necessarily conservative by most people's metrics, but I found it offensive. Anyway, Yep, so go check that guy out if you want to. Check out his Twitter. It's in the description or there. Just remember, again, I apparently unfollowed him because we followed each other to talk. Just remember he works a lot in hyperbole and is not as, what's the word I'm looking for? Not as far gone as it appears on Twitter. I don't know. All right, guys, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. There will be more of these. Next week, we should be having the other person come on, which will be interesting. But yeah, I mean, anybody that wants to come on and discuss this and tell me why Fandom Menace is 100% correct, or isn't Fandom Menace just happens to 100% agree with everything Fandom Menace does and push their policy, yet isn't totes not Fandom Menace, guys. Welcome on the channel. New thing I'm trying. I think it's good to have it. Oh, and the other way. If people think that Star Trek is the Disco Trek is, or I don't like, yeah, Disco era Trek is like the bestest thing ever, and Legacy just needs to die. I would be interested to have them on. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. That's my other thing. That's my other thing. All these people are so confident in their opinions and everything, then it should be fun destroying me live. Hell, you may even change my mind. Maybe I'll become full We Are Starfleet or full Fandom Menace. You just have to have a good enough argument. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, guys. I'm going to see you on the next Lore Reloaded.